We've all been there as videographers and editors. You've been handed a piece of footage and it's literally from stabilization to deflicker and denoise. There's so many different techniques that you can use to save that rubbish footage from this. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can fix that rubbish footage with DaVinci Resolve. So as you can see here, I have a shot of my friend in a cave. Shout out to Will. That's Will. Say hello to Will. Hi, Will. And this was shot in a cave where there's no light other than the light that's on his phone there. And as you can see, there's an awful lot of noise. So I'm in the color page. I've got a very basic grade just for tutorial purposes on here right now. And I'm going to create a new node. So this is a corrector node right here. And you can right click, add node corrector, or you can do Alt S or Shift S. Either way is fine. We're going to add our denoisification onto this corrector node. Making sure you got your corrector node selected, go down to the left corner of your color page and you'll see this little icon here. It's called motion effects. If you click on this, this opens up your motion effects tab. So we're going to be working in this space just here. So the way I work with my denoising is I work from left to right. So I do this column here and then I do this column here, depending on the severity of the denoise and what kind of shot it is, because it varies from shot to shot. Okay, so first of all, temporal noise reduction. What you want to do is go onto the frames here and click on how many frames back and forth you want DaVinci Resolve to look at and compare between the shots. So here's a quick animation for you so you understand. You have your frame that you're on, the one you're looking at. If you set it to, for example, 1, DaVinci Resolve will only look 1 frame ahead, compare that frame to the frame that you're on, and then work out what is noise and what isn't noise. You can go up to 5 here, just as a pre-warning before you do this. It's very intense on your computer, so it might explode violently if you crank everything up to 1,000,000. For legal reasons, that was a joke. I'm going to do 3 just so my computer doesn't die. So down here, very similar to other effects in DaVinci Resolve, there's an option between faster and better, or none at all. But obviously just click better because you want the best results really, don't you? Now just here, you can't actually see it for some reason. It just says motion ra. Motion ra. It's just trying to scare you. But basically this is motion range, not motion ra. And this is important for you to change if your shot has a lot of motion. Now, luckily in my shot just here, it's more of a handheld shot. If we click play, with a slight bit of shake. I'd say this is medium in my opinion, so I'm going to leave it on medium. And then you'll see you've got these drag bars just here for luma and chroma for the temporal threshold. And what you'll see if you drag these up is you'll actually start to see some real improvements to the noise in your shot. So we turn this off by clicking Control D on this corrector node. You'll already start to see a massive difference. Now what's key with these controls here is every shot is different, so don't expect that you can just copy and paste this effect onto every single shot, because some shots will need more and some shots will need less. It also depends on what type of noise you have. Now with this temporal noise reduction threshold, something that's key, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers mention, is looking at your scopes. And to be honest with you, I'd recommend it too. This is your scopes here. If you don't have it open, it might look like this. You just want to click this icon just here. And these are your RGB scopes for every individual color. So RGB being red, green, and blue. When you adjust these, you'll notice the red, green, and blue channels withering away quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from 0, I'm going to drag along here, and you can see there being some very minor changes. And then from here onwards, really nothing happens. So it's somewhere around here that I'd say is ideal for this. Again, you don't want to drag it all the way along like this. What will happen is your shot will just become waxy, and we don't want to look like wax figures, because wax figures are scary and not very good looking. Sorry, all of the wax museums out there.
Is it you?
No, it's not.
It is, it's you.
Just look here, for example, just here. You'll see if I drag this from 0, you'll see it really making a difference and then nothing. Basically there, that is my sign that if I go any further than this, it's completely pointless and it's just making your shot look worse. And you may notice this little motion dial here. This helps you to dial in that motion controls for the temporal noise reduction in a way that stops that sort of artificial look. If there's a lot of motion, for example, you'll see a lot of weird distortions in your image. So you can use this to dial that back if you can get away with it.
I can get away with anything I want.
Oh, and a quick point, Luma and Chroma by default are connected. You can disconnect these if you want by clicking this little icon here and moving them separately if you want. Luma is your sort of lighter noise reduction, and then Chroma is your colored noise that you see. Here's an example on your screen of Luma and Chroma noise. It's very clear.
You're not very clear.
And now for the noise reduction, that is the most intense, spatial noise reduction. Now, over the years, since I made my last video, they've added more options here, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But what is spatial noise reduction? So spatial noise reduction is far more intense because what it's doing is analyzing that one frame and keeping as much information as it possibly can while also removing that noise, which makes it insanely intense on any PC component. So if you have not a lot of RAM because of the current RAM crisis, or your CPU's just a bit crap, then I'm sorry mate, you're gonna have to wait until the year 3000. So here you have various different modes. You have faster, better, enhanced, and AI ultra noise reduction. These two here are the more legacy controls. And obviously it says on the tin, enhanced. It's going to be better than faster and better. Now, when you turn on enhanced, for example, it will give you the ability to disconnect Luma and Chroma controls. This is perfect for dialing it in exactly as you want, just like we talked about with the temporal noise reduction. Once again, when you're moving these controls from 0, just keep an eye on your scopes and just make sure you're not crushing the image. And also just look at the image and make sure it's not becoming too waxy. On your screen now, I'll show you a before and after of this exact shot and show you a real zoomed in close look at some of the noise before and after. It does make a difference. I've always been super impressed with DaVinci Resolve Studio's ability to remove noise, and it is only getting better. And one last final point with noise reduction, there's also another mode called AI Ultra Noise Reduction. Now, I would actually recommend this if you're a little bit scared of this whole setup here and you don't necessarily feel like you know what you're doing, because what this can do is it can analyze your noise profile just here. So if you click analyze, it'll create this little pinpoint and you can drag it to where you want it to sort of analyze that area in which a high amount of noise. So I'm just going to go into the deep void of this shot just here, and it can give you the exact sort of controls which are ideal. And you can just, if you're not happy, adjust them accordingly. So I find this is quite easy for quick solves if you're in a rush, or if you're not that experienced and you just want to get something sorted and fixed. It's a brilliant, brilliant technique that could save your footage from the literal bin. Not my bin, that's my bin, but your bin. And you know what isn't rubbish? Audio. This video is sponsored by Audiio, the best way to improve that rubbish footage that you have with incredible sound effects and music. Audiio has a fantastic library of sound effects and music that you can use for your content to just improve it, make it 10 times better. Their recent release of Hands 2, their AI chatbot, makes it far easier to find the perfect track for your work. So I'm here using Hands 2.0, and I'm gonna find right now the exact music I'm gonna use for this ad in the background. And just like that, from a simple prompt, I have 6 hand-selected songs for this exact ad. All this comes along with an amazing deal if you use the code DanVinci. This gets you 70% off their 1-year Pro Audio subscription, bringing the price down from $199 down to just $59. I've said it in my past videos, the quality of Audio's catalog is absolutely fantastic, and you'll never be let down by them in terms of choice. Their website is super duper clean, easy to navigate. Go check out Audiio in the description down below. Okay, so now let's cover stabilization. Now there are various different ways that you can approach stabilization. There's the easy way, this is the easy way, and then there's the hard way. And I'm gonna show you both, because I'm just a kind soul that likes to edit and has a big brain and knows everything. Very humble. So I have a shot of myself because I'm humble, and it's a little bit shaky. Now the easy way to stabilize, and also one of the quickest ways to stabilize, is in the inspector in the top right corner, which is this guy right here. And you go down here and you have stabilization. Click on that and you'll have your little stabilization tab within the inspector. Now obviously make sure you've got your clip selected in the edit page, and you can choose from 3 different modes. You have perspective, similarity, and translation. Now perspective is like the warp stabilizer in Premiere Pro. So if any of you have come from Adobe, you'll be familiar with perspective mode. The way similarity approaches stabilization is by correcting the X and Y movements. That's pan and tilt, rotation and scale, but it doesn't warp the image. And then translation is my favorite. It's like perspective, only it's not warping, and I like to use this one the most. Now, in my case, this is a handheld shot and the camera isn't really moving, and nothing's really changing the subject within frame. So what I can do here is click camera lock, go to my favorite translation, click stabilize, and then look at that. It's nearly perfect. And you can just pick and choose, try perspective. There is a bit of warping going on, but in this case, look, that is just fantastic. I'll do obviously a before and after on your screen right now. It blows my mind. And that's the easy way. But what about for situations where this doesn't work? Because this isn't going to work all the time.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
Well, I have a shot here of an SSD, which this shot I kind of stole from work. So sorry, James, please don't fire me, please.
You're fired.
This is a perfect example where that stabilization, which I just showed you, the easy way, doesn't work. What a shame. So you can see here, if I play this out, there's a little bit of micro shake, and I want to get rid of this. So my instinct here is to immediately go into the stabilization and stabilize it like so. But look what happens. It gets worse. Why on earth does it get worse, Dan? Please explain. There is a monitor in the background. There is motion going on at a crazy rate, and DaVinci Resolve can't distinguish what in the frame it needs to actually stabilize to. So this is where we can tell DaVinci Resolve what we want it to stabilize to using Fusion. Looks scary, but it's good if you know it. And I will show you how to know it. Hashtag respect Fusion. Let's undo, by clicking this, our stabilization. So that's reset it back to normal. Now what we can do here is we can go into Fusion on our clip, clicking Control Space to open up your Select All search bar. Let's search Planar Tracker. Planar Tracker. Great, so we have the planar tracker node, and really, this is all you're going to need in Fusion. We're not going to be making a complex tree like you've seen on the channel various times. It's going to just be this, and that's it. So don't panic. I see you panicking. You don't need to panic.
Now I'm panicking.
So all we need to do while selecting our planar tracker is go into our frame here, and let's select our subject like so. I'm just going to draw a shape around our subject. Remember, this doesn't need to be a square. I've just made it a square because this SSD is a square. It doesn't have to be a square. So if it's a circle, an octagon, a dodecahedron, a triceratops, a Decepticon, it doesn't matter. You can make it whatever shape you want. In the inspector on your planar tracker node, you will have various controls. And what we want to do is go to perspective here, change it to translation, and you may notice it's the same terminology as the translation stabilization from earlier. What a sentence. Then make sure you click set, don't forget that. And this will set the reference frame. So this is what the planar tracker is going to reference. So it stabilizes to that sort of vague reference. And then you just need to click track, let it do its thing, and just wait patiently. Nearly spilt my drink. And spat everywhere.
You disgust me!
Now, once this is tracked, make sure on your timeline you have lots of little points like this. If you tracked from the center of your timeline and you tracked right, you might find that it hasn't tracked left. So make sure you track left as well, because that's important. You want to make sure it's just all tracked. Okay, and then you want to go to operation mode. Go to track here and go down to stabilize. Now, this is stabilized to our object. Specifically, it's only got its tracking data from this object here and avoided tracking this part of the screen just here. So that's great, because then it doesn't mess up and it improves our shot. The only negative of this is it moves it around. And in doing so, there isn't anything there to fill the gaps. So really, all you need to do, and I did lie earlier, sorry, really, this is all you're going to need in Fusion. Liar! Click on this icon here to create a transform node. What you then can do is go into your inspector here on size and increase the size of your shot. And there you go. Just like magic, if we jump back into the edit page, we now have a stabilized shot that works. Speed warping. Now we've all been there, we've all shot something in the wrong FPS, and it can be devastating, especially if you can't just go and reshoot whatever it is you've shot. Here we have a car shot. So as you can see, it's really, really choppy. How do I fix this? Well, luckily enough, this is in the inspector on the edit page. You don't have to go into Fusion. I know. And if we go over here into the inspector, go down to retime scaling, you'll see something called retime process. If you click down, we'll have something called optical flow, and optical flow is where DaVinci Resolve is basically, in simple terms, it's going to look at each frame and go, okay, mesh them together and create a new frame. So click on optical flow, and if we play that now, that already looks so good. But the negative is there's a bit of artifacts going on with the stadium in the background, which isn't nice. So if we go on to motion estimation, go down to AI speed warp better, this is going to set fire to your computer and say goodbye to it forever. That was also a legal joke. I'll say that again. That was also a joke for legal reasons. So let's render that in place, right click and go to render in place, and then let's just render this in a format that you're familiar with. You can't avoid crashes, can you? If you're a crash test dummy, you really can't avoid crashes, can you? Now, of course, you're getting some weird artifactual things going on in the background with the stadium, but just adding a little bit of AI warp does seem to improve this a little bit. And I'll put on your screen again some lovely before and afters so you can see exactly how this works, or the result of it. It looks really good. Get Studio. And now for the final technique that can fix your footage. Deflicker. These are the only old lights I could find that would flicker. So I've got some really nice bad footage here of some lights flickering. Let's try and remove the flicker. So let's go into Fusion once again. Don't worry. Again, it's going to be easy peasy with only like one node. So I'm going to make a new Fusion clip so we can have the grade on our clip in Fusion. And let's do Control Space and search flicker. And you'll have Deflicker come up in your select tool search bar. Let's add this into the node tree, and already that looks brilliant. But let's go into the inspector. You have the Deflicker settings, so you can change it from a time lapse, a fluoro light. What is a fluoro light? Fluoro. Right. Oh, it's an old-fashioned light. But what's really nice is when you open up the advanced controls here, you can really dial it in. So what's nice about Deflicker is it's very similar to the temporal noise reduction that we saw earlier on with removing noise. So you can see that this is quite familiar here. So you can tell it to look 3 frames either side or up to 5. Obviously, the higher you go, the slower your computer is going to be. And you can also tell its motion range. So at the minute, mine's quite small, so I'm going to keep it at small. But if your shot is moving around quite a bit, it's quite important that you tell it exactly what's going on. Now, most of the time, I'm going to be honest with you, whenever I've had an issue with this, I've actually just used time-lapse. I'll do some before and after, but seriously, the time-lapse mode is best for most people. But obviously, if you need that precise control, you can obviously use the advanced controls. But anyway, that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. And I found out the other day, when I was scrolling through the statistics, being a huge brain, that most of you aren't subscribed, which won't stand. I won't stand for it any longer. Well, I didn't know it was a problem until literally yesterday. So if you're not subscribed and you don't subscribe after watching this video, I will Uno reverse card you, which means you are compelled to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Dan. You've watched DanVinci. Goodbye.